That's him though.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order. Michael, can you take the roll, please?
Ms. Butts?
Here.
Ms. Shakarian?
Here.
Mr. Corrigan?
Here.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Here.
And Mr. Parker?
Here.
Our first order of business is approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of 12/21/23. If there's no omissions or additions, I move for adoption.
Second,
Ms. Butts?
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian?
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan?
yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes,
And Mr. Parker?
Yes.
wonderful, thank you. We now have a presentation from our own Michael Ruffing on the high density project.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First slide, please. I am pleased to report that as of today, the project is 100% on schedule
All right.
and is approximately 50% completed. Project started March 1st of last year. As of 2 days ago, the 7th floor was 98% finished. We have a couple more things to do. But you may hear some buzzing noises today because as of yesterday and today, we started on the 8th floor, which is 2 small sections. And between, which will take a month, and then between February 19th and November 1st, the 9th floor will be completed. My goal is to be finished before Notre Dame in Paris on December 5th. So we've got a little buffer. So budget, the Board of Trustees approved a budget of $6,057,792.50 and a contingency fund of $605,779 on December 6th. Oh, I forgot to say the next slide. Okay. December 16th, 2021. As of December 31st, we have invoiced a little over $3 million. We have approximately $3 million remaining. Change orders 1 through 12 have resulted in a net increase of $112,863.20, which represents just under 2%, 1.9% of the project budget. Thank you. The largest increases have been, or decreases. I wanted to start with the decreases. We recently received a credit for a little over $153,000 for 8,672 reused shelves. We are reusing every shelf that was on both floors, and we're bringing about 2,000 shelves from Lakeshore and reusing those. So we're saving every possible piece of equipment that existed before the project started. Everything else is being recycled. We also had a decrease of $51,540 because we had to change the touchscreen controllers from push button, the controllers from touchscreen to push buttons because of the microchip shortage. Now we could have waited and had the touchscreens later, but we felt that over the course of time, the push buttons would be better for us anyway. The 8th floor will all be touchscreen, which will allow us to lock down specific ranges on our special collections floor. The largest increases in terms of change orders are change order 7, $247,802 to add LED integral lighting to the 8th floor existing mobile shelving. We had considered having the entire lighting system on the 8th floor revised. The estimate that Fagali gave us for that work was $325,000, and it did not address about 30 dark areas. So when we built this building, the lighting plan on each floor was the same. So where the light hits the books in a mobile, the lighting in a mobile system should go perpendicular to the system rather than parallel. So when the system moves and it's under a parallel light fixture, the aisle is dark. So we have about 30 dark areas on the 8th floor. And so the staff have been using flashlights for the last 25 years. So with the new integral lights, we now have light exactly.
You said for the last 25 years?
Yes. I mean, there are aisles that are completely dark. So in other areas. So we have corrected that. And the other increase was $59,072 for 6 additional custom-made map cabinets for at the request of the manager. time-lapse photography, and Catherine Young, our excellent video editor who edited that video and put the music to it.
Excellent.
That will go live on our website today, and it will be sent to the entire project team automatically at 1:00 today. I set it up, and we have a really AAA plus team on this project, which is Space Saver, Patterson Pope, Corrigan, and Fagali Brothers, in addition to our own internal staff. So I want to put in a plug for them, and I will take questions and give a tour after the meeting.
Well, thank
The
you,
way
Michael.
those heavy shells move with the push of a button.
It's
It's
really
awesome.
it's thrilling. So if there are any questions,
I feel like after doing a project like this, there's much to be learned for other library systems that are dealing with collections and high density storage. So I'm sure at ALA or, some conference in the future, or even if there's a 1 to 2 pager summary that's being created.
I'm creating a lot of documentation with that in mind, and Space Saver would like to do a case study. So
Yeah.
this time lapse video was done in June, and there was only one section of the entire project where we could capture the whole project beginning to end for a variety of logistical reasons. So that was our moment. And Space Saver, I previewed it as a Christmas present to our team, and everyone wants it.
Mhm.
Space Saver wants it. No one has ever done a time-lapse video of the shelving being installed. And our project was unique because we were working within a full floor. When we didn't move one book off the floor, we worked and operated the library simultaneously.
Yeah, that's for me, that's the amazing thing, is that basically the whole collection was as accessible during the project as it was before. And of course, I always have the wonderful knuckleball question, Michael, and that
Yes.
is, how many misshelved items did we see out of 602,000?
The movers are excellent, and they actually found errors that the library had made. There was one whole section where we had started the same call number in a different place on the other side of the floor, and they came to me and they said, Michael, do you want us to fix this? And I said, yes, please.
That's funny.
But our collection's in great shape. We have wonderful pages who Demba Diawara had shelf reading after the moves were finished. And there were a couple shelves reversed, but very minor. And overall, we're in really good shape.
That's great.
That's wonderful.
Thanks.
So
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
wanted to say I've been in libraries for over 40 years, and I have never found shelving exciting. But that was probably the closest I've ever been to it.
I asked the director, please, to not watch the video until we all saw it together.
Nice.
Because I wanted you all to experience that.
Yeah. It's awesome.
But I can't commend Michael anymore. I mean, every time we put him on a project, he just keeps knocking it out of the park, and I'm
It's a
just
labor
very
of love.
appreciative.
Thank you.
Yes, because he's already retired from his what? So.
And I asked my obnoxious question because I'm old enough to remember in 1968 going to the Library of Congress and requesting what should have been an easy book to recover, and they could not find it. They knew they had it, and it was misshelved somewhere in the Library of Congress. And I went back for 3 months, and finally somebody was so pissed off that I kept coming back that they put on a 10-person team to find the book, and they found it.
Nice.
And for me, it was just a matter of principle that, and my reason for my high standard was because that never happened here. Not once.
We
So,
love to hear that.
Thank you. Before we move on, I do want to acknowledge Trustee Fryer, who's joining us virtually today, too.
Yes.
Michael, if you could please note that. Thank you. Thanks again, Michael. That's
You're welcome.
phenomenal. We're now going to move into the president's report. I do just want to briefly, I don't know, for those of you who were able to watch the Martin Luther King celebration on WKYC, I know there was some issues with the programming and stuff, but I think things happened on Sunday. So for those of you who don't think you were able to watch it, you were. But I want to recognize the drum major for change, which was Connie Hill Johnson. She is from the Cleveland Foundation. She is the chairperson of the Board of Trustees there. So she was the drum major for change. And just to keep it on the record, and the unsung heroes were Ms. Gina Birch from District 1, David Roth from District 2, Dale Goody, District 3, Ms. Rahel Lockett, District 4, and Vicky Trotter, District 5. So I just want to make sure that these are all put on the record. We do thank them all for all the work that they're doing in our community and supporting Dr. King's vision. And in 2025, we will come back and have a very, very big celebration at the new Martin Luther King Bridge.
Yes.
A year from now, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. Hey, that's wow.
I know.
So that was part of my report. So I do
I
want
didn't
to,
jinx it. Don't worry.
Look at John Lay.
and I do want to thank everyone who contributed to the taping and the filming of the program. Melanie and Jasmine and Trustee Corrigan, they all did a great job. As John, thank you again. Thank you, everyone, for everything you do to make that happen. It was a wonderful piece. Thank you. Director?
Oh, okay. So for my director's report, I want to first say that you have an article that was in the American Libraries magazine, a winning case. Speaks to our work that we were doing, myself and Tana put this together. So it's always good to see us being noticed in the American Libraries magazine. I also wanted to just let everybody know, we're still very proud of what's happening with the archive. We have now reached 50,000 guests who have gone to the archive. So that's a great notice. Good job for all those involved in that. We are now in possession of the West Side Markets collection. And John, you want to stand up and talk a little bit about the fact that he went at super early hours in the morning, grabbing and got staff to go and grab all of their collection.
Thanks, Director. Yeah, so we were very pleased. I kept running to Mayor Bibb before he, took office, and I was talking about West Side Market. So he held me to kind of saying, well, when we're going to be cleaning up a little bit. So he had me work with Jessica Tripisano from West Side Market to say, these are important documents. What should we do? So we first analyzed the collection, and we worked very closely with them. And then I worked with the state, with the city, and with the West Side Market to take possession of all their historical documents.
Wow.
So we now have possession of them. And over the next couple of years, we'll be going through, and I've let them know we won't keep everything, but what is really cool is the earliest tenant association records for all of the Cleveland families that had stands there. So we think this will be a great piece of history that will now live at Cleveland Public Library. So we'll update the board as we go along, but another wonderful gem to our collection.
That's
Nice. Did you grab her bratwurst while you were there?
Always.
Who doesn't?
How voluminous is it, John? And is it mostly, it's photographs and paperwork, or is
Photographs
there
and
more than that?
paperwork. Yeah, they tried to give me tons of plaques and posters, and I said, "Oh no, you can't take that." But about 300 boxes. This goes back, to over 100 years worth of material. So it'll be a heck of a project. But it's now all downstairs in our shipping, and Director Tom's been good enough to offer some help to move this project along. But the photographs alone are worth us working with them, because just these Cleveland families that we can preserve these photos. They were sitting in, and I have to give the city of Cleveland and our staff big kudos, because it was about 200 degrees up in the tower of the West Side Market. They were in horrible archival boxes, really mess. And I think it belongs here. And they were talking a lot of places, but because of our staff and the way we treat these materials, they chose us to be the takers of this collection.
Yeah. That's really cool.
And there's going to be a future presentation, I know, because it's still a lot of work to do. But if you noticed in the MLK broadcast, photos and video of Dr. King you've never seen before in Cleveland. It's because the work we're doing.
Yeah.
And more about that as we get.
Yeah, another wonderful collection that we're working on, and Michael's spearheading that alongside WKYC and Channel 5 and WVIZ. So a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes in the collections that we can't wait to bring to you in the future.
John's doing yeoman's work. I also wanted to commend Marina and Hope. Would you guys come up here? They created what is called the Hope Collection. I wonder how the name came about, but
That was actually Marina's idea.
Election as the coat you wear.
Well, and also Jen Jumba and Sandy were very instrumental in this as well, so. Here's the signage that's gonna be supportive for the collection.
what they recognized was that there are a number of folks who are going to different collections and feel uncomfortable because they read at a young people's level, but they don't want to go into the young people's department to grab books. So they created a collection that has a number of books at levels that adults can feel comfortable.
So this is adult learning as far as helping them learn to read better, or?
The lower literacy, level adult readers. From Hope's experience of being a substitute and working in all of the branches, she observed this. And being a manager at the East 131st Street branch, I also observed this with our adult readers who have a lower literacy level.
Can I say something?
yes.
And I'm interrupting, and
Yeah.
I'm going to get emotional because not only does that help, my sister's Alzheimer's, and a book like that would help her. It's not just for people who have literacy problems. I had a difficulty finding a book for her at her level. And
Yes.
she was an RN. She was brilliant, but
Yes.
her mind's
Yeah.
at a different level, and that there will help people like her too.
So, yeah, I'm so glad to hear that.
So thank you.
You're
so
welcome, yeah.
So I want to make sure I understand everything. So you're picking these books that are for adult, early readers or whatever you want to call them. And is this a collection that's all together stored somewhere, or?
So I have a photo. I was able to actually see one at the Woodland branch last night when we had our celebration for the reading ambassadors. And I shared it with the reading ambassadors as well as our partners like Literacy Cleveland, as well as the Seeds of Literacy and many more that were at the event last night. And it's a very small but mighty collection right now because it just, we just, introduced it this month. And every
Are
month
these also with larger print or no?
we're expanding the collection.
Uh-huh.
And Jen Jumba and Popular, along with Sandy, will be working on curating this collection to
And
expand
adding
it. So
more
every
materials.
month, new books will be added to the
Yeah.
collection.
So, and the collection is at every library. There will be a collection.
Every
So we
branch.
have one at every
There'll
branch
be
right now.
copies at every
Yeah.
branch.
And to-
That's a great.
And Trustee
great
Rodriguez's
one.
point,
Mhm.
she reached out to me about those type of books. And we just had not seen that being collected anywhere. So
There's
Is-
also, sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
We're also gonna have a few copies downtown, so like we decided to keep a copy of the collection in youth services. Because as a sub, that's where I was seeing, I think, the most people downtown coming to look for reading materials if they're struggling. So we're gonna have a copy in youth services and then like a few copies in our popular library where like the DVDs are and audiovisual things like that.
In addition to that, there's that visual literacy piece, that supports those that are learning to read. So we do have, what's included in that are the eyewitness books as well, the nonfiction. So that's really helpful as well. So to give you an idea.
So this was Hope's idea and it's never been done anywhere in the country, do you think?
No, it has been adopted by other library systems and they call it they give it other names. But Hope approached Cleveland Reads, Shanice and myself, and proposed this idea from her observations. And so then we were like, well, it takes a team, it takes all of us. So we discussed it, and we were like, of course, this has to happen. We have to do this, and so Hope, when we were like, Hope would be a great name. And here's, you want to share
Yeah.
this is the logo with marketing's team and guidance we were able to come up with. So you can share it.
Oh, that's great.
So for the logo, we took a lot of inspiration from the literacy group Seeds of Literacy, because their logo is a tree. So marketing was able to like incorporate elements from our logo with that. I think it turned out really well.
Nice.
I'll tell you anything. All right, get back to work.
Okay.
Thank you, thank you. Much needed.
And my final thing is I am heading out to, hopefully, Baltimore in the morning to go to American Library Association's conference. I have been asked to serve in two, Harriet Park says, maybe you get there, maybe you don't. But I'm serving on the search committee for a new executive director of American Library Association. And on there, in 2026, ALA will be celebrating its 150th anniversary.
Oh.
For some reason, they thought last year was a good year to start. Probably so, but these folks are all over this commemoration thing. So I'm going to be joining that committee. We'll be celebrating in 2026. Finally, I know there's some new faces here who used to be doing other things that are here. Grace French is here. She is now working for us. And then anybody else have anybody they want to introduce to us who's different, who's not a manager? Who's in front of you, Jackie?
new role?
I'm popular. I just put up the whole collection yesterday, actually. I just set it up. You want to come down and look it up? This book's up here. Hi. Hi, I'm Ava. I'm an intern from Kent State right now, and I'm with the Children's Youth Department.
All right.
Jared Glenn. Yeah.
All right. Okay, I just saw a new face. I was like, I don't know who she is. She got to introduce herself. So that's it. All right, that's it for the director's report.
Thank you.
Okay, I just saw a new face. I was like, I don't know who she is. People are wrecking.
We're gonna get the Macaulay Culkin gun thing that he used in, the Lost Christmas Child,
Oh, yeah.
where he recorded things and then replayed them. We're gonna do that to the director on Sunday.
How will I ever remember?
We probably should do it on communication.
At this time, we only have one order of one piece of communication. It's from Father Ben Jimenez at St. Augustine. And he is just singing the praises of the Carnegie West branch, where he wants us to make sure that they are recognized all over. He has, I will just read just a brief, because this is the second notice that we have received from him. And he really thinks the best of them, and that, so just concerning this essential job, Sister Angela, Sister Latrice, just to name two at the Carnegie West branch at the Cleveland Public Library. The truth is the entire staff do a wonderful job. And one of the things, which is his request, which we probably could work on, I don't know, behind the desk, there's a TV screen or an electronic board, and it shows pictures of the board members, but he feels the staff should be displayed there as well. So hopefully we could work on fixing that. We have all the electronics, and maybe they need to highlight their employee of the month on the screen as well. So Father Ben, we do hear you. Thank you. We're working on it.
Yeah.
We will take care of it, and we are going to go ahead and put both of his notices that he sent us for the records as well. But we do thank all of our employees and patrons for everything that they are doing for CPL. Thank you. We're now going to move into the finance community report. Trustee Corrigan.
Yes, the Finance Committee met on Tuesday and put forward the following exhibits for approval today. Exhibit 1 is a resolution to accept gifts for the month of December. Be resolved that the gifts described in the gift report for December 2023 be accepted upon the conditions connected with said gifts in accordance with 3375.40K, the revised code. And the largest single item is, of course, the Art for Justice. But we also received our annual distributions from the people who support the Judd Fund and the Schweinfurth Fund and those things. There was one other one that was a little unusual. Carrie, what did we talk about Tuesday? I've forgotten.
The early literacy fund.
Early
United
literacy.
Way grant.
United Way, that was it. So I move Exhibit 1 for adoption.
Second.
Ms. Butts?
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian?
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
And Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Exhibit 2 is a resolution authorized payment of fees to the Cleveland Special Revenue Fund covering the period January 1, 2024 through December 31, 2024. Whereas during the Cleveland strategic planning process, the directors panel asked the Cleveland Public Library to investigate ways to move Cleveland revenue out of the general fund to improve how financial information is captured. Whereas on October 16, 2014, the board authorized the chief financial officer to take the necessary steps to create a special revenue fund. Whereas on October 27, 2023, the Cleveland fees were presented at Cleveland directors meetings. Cleveland Public Library's initial total annual contract cost was $1,669,681.24, which includes Ohio Library for the Blind and Print Disabled from January 1, 24 through December 31, 2024. And whereas upon closing the December 2023, the 2024 Cleveland fees were updated to reflect a reduction of 1/2 of the Cleveland Special Revenue Fund's unencumbered balance. The Cleveland Public Library's updated total annual contract cost is $1,573,014.70, which includes the Ohio Library for the Blind and Print Disabled from January 1, 24 through December 31, 24. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees authorize the payment of $1,573,014.70 to the Cleveland Special Revenue Fund effective January 1, 2024. The expenditures being charged to general fund account 130-10053-53900, other purchase services. So moved.
Second.
And this is our customary, the difference this year is they used a bigger portion of their unencumbered balance to reduce the cost to their systems libraries.
Ms. Butts?
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian?
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
And Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Exhibit 3 is a resolution ratifying agreements for leased vehicles with Enterprise FM Trust. Whereas on March 18, 2021, the board authorized the library to enter a lease and maintenance agreement with Enterprise FM Trust for 15 vehicles for a period of 60 months. Whereas due to the long lead times caused by supply chain issues stemming from the global COVID-19 pandemic, the library has only been able to accept the delivery of new vehicles on a piecemeal basis and has so far received 8 of the 15 vehicles that the board authorized in March 21. Whereas on November 21, 23, the library took delivery of 2 new vehicles from Enterprise, a 2022 ProMaster and a 2023 Chevrolet Express Cutaway van, as shown in the lease schedules that are collectively attached to this resolution as Exhibit A. Resolved of the Board of Trustees of the Cleveland Public Library hereby ratifies and approves the lease with Enterprise FM Trust of the 2 new vehicles shown in Exhibit A. So moved.
Second.
Ms. Butts?
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian?
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
And Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Exhibit 4 is a resolution to modify the terms of donation from Cleveland Thermal. Whereas on September 15, 2015, the board accepted a donation from Cleveland Thermal in the amount of $100,000 for deposit into Founders Fund account, with the restriction be funds to be used for expenditures in connection with the engagement of an engineering consultant to study the feasibility of acquiring and operating an on-site chiller system at the main library in Lewis Stokes Swings. Whereas the library engaged Spectrum Energy Concepts and Osborne to conduct such a study, whereas the library received notification from Cleveland Thermal that the library could keep the remaining unspent $57,470.25 free of any restrictions to which the funds were initially subjected. Whereas on March 13, 2000, 2012, the board adopted a resolution that directs the fiscal officer to present unrestricted donations of more than $25,000 to the board, whereas the executive director CEO recommends that the $57,470.25 remain in the Founders Fund and that the funds be restricted to use for programming. Now therefore be it resolved, the board pursuant to the authority set forth in RC 3375.40K hereby accepts Cleveland Thermal's release of the restrictions and remaining funds that this board accepted on September 17, 2015, and instructs the chief financial officer or her designee to reallocate the funds in the Founders Fund with the restriction that the funds be used for programming. So moved.
Second.
This is a culmination of, for those who don't know the history, of a long series of discussions and resolutions of a problem that the PUCO tariffs for chilled water put the library in a bit of a jackpot. And the owner of Cleveland Thermal at that time negotiated a resolution of the problem, which included this donation and support of a study because they felt that we would find it better to buy chilled water than to set our own chiller system up. And the study basically in the end supported that. But they didn't spend all the money that was donated. And now, although there's a new owner of Cleveland Thermal, they've decided to donate it to the good of the library anyway. So in the end, basically a 7-year happy ending, if you will, to a problem that we solved.
Ms. Bunce?
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian?
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
And Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Exhibit 5 is the First Amendment to the year 2024 appropriation, whereas Ohio Revised Code 5705.40 provides for the amendment of an appropriation measure when necessary, whereas the aggregate of all appropriation classifications does not exceed the total amount submitted to the Budget Commission. Now therefore be it resolved that the sums indicated in the attached First Amendment to the year 2024 appropriation schedule be approved. So moved.
Second.
Ms. Bunce?
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian?
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
And Mr. Parker?
Yes.
The balance of the Finance Committee report is the fiscal officer's report for the period December 1 to December 31, 2023. Report B, the report on investments for that same period. I think it's the same period. Yes. Report C, which is the report on conference and travel expenditures for that period. Report D, the report on all vendor expenditures. Report E, the report on expenditures made from the owner's contingency funds for the Huff, Jefferson, West Park, Woodland Central Distribution Facility, Lorraine, Eastman, MLK Junior, Brooklyn, and Rockport branches. And report F, a report on the expenditures made for the owner's contingency fund for the high density shelving project. And report G, fees paid for legal and consulting services for the period October 1st, 2023 to 12/31/2023, the last quarter, if you will. That concludes the Finance Committee report.
Thank you, Trustee Corrigan. We're now going to move into the Human Resource Committee report. In lieu of Mr. Hairston, Trustee Shakarian will be reviewing the report.
Exhibit 6 is the regular employment report presenting the new hires, internals, resignations, and retirements and terminations of staff.
Second.
Ms. Bunce?
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian?
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
And Mr. Parker?
Yes.
And Exhibit 7 is the retirement citation recognition, recognizing Charles Bird on retirement after 3 years of service as Director of Education, Outreach and Programming Services, and Nishan Derova Montgomery for 10 years of service as Tech Services Librarian. Are either of those staff here today? I don't see them. I move for adoption this recognition of their service.
Second.
Ms.
And they're
Bunce?
gonna be
Ms.
missed.
Shakarian?
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
And Mr. Parker?
Yes.
The balance of the Human Services Committee report are reports on paid sick time, employee demographics, and insurance summary. And that concludes the Human Resources report.
Thank you, Trustee Shakarian. We're now going to move into the Community Service Committee report. Trustee Parker, please.
Yes, we have, of course, Report K, which is our monthly activity report, all wonderful, beautiful graphs that gives you the information. I want to go in order for the building status update, followed by the advocacy task force update, foundation update, and then diversity, equity, and inclusion updates.
Just a few things to mention this month, mostly upcoming events associated with Facilities Master Plan. Glenville branch closed to patrons last Saturday and is in move management right now. The groundbreaking ceremony is scheduled for February 3rd at 10 o'clock, and I know invitations are forthcoming. Similarly, the grand opening at Brooklyn, reopening of Brooklyn, will be Saturday, March 2nd, which is coming up. Rockport is tracking for a May opening, although we don't have a specific date yet. At the end of last year, I talked about some of the capital, non-FMP capital projects that we have coming up. So just as an update, after this meeting today, we're doing the pre-bid walkthroughs with bidders for engineers for the fire panel upgrade project that we've planned for the main LSW campus. And then later for the bidders on the cafe and preparation kitchen on the lower level. And just as a reminder, that's a follow-up to Michael Ruffing's comments about the high-density shelving project. That will eventually displace the employee cafe on the 9th floor. And so we're relocating that space to the lower level of the main building. We're adding a catering prep kitchen, which will add to the cost. And, as a personal note, we've done so much of our larger projects through construction managers and our smaller projects through direct requests for proposal. We're going to actually have a good old-fashioned public bid opening on February 5th. Those are always exciting. Timestamps, sealed envelopes. And so that will be the cafe project. I hope to bring both the selection for the engineer for the fire panel project and the contractor for the lower level employee cafe and kitchen to board in February. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. As far as the advocacy report is, I have been working in concert with John Lang with regard to the FMP projects, making sure City Council is apprised. We're also working with City Council if they have questions about the branches within their jurisdiction, making sure we give them the content to put into their newsletters. As an example, Councilman Casey had requested information of Director Thomas, worked with John's team to do that to get the content for his State of the Ward address. And so we will be doing that again this year to make sure that they understand where their branches are in the timeline. If they have any questions, and making sure they're showing up to groundbreakings and ribbon cuttings and making sure they feel like they're a part of this. The other point I want to make is Director Thomas and I met with Council President Griffin this week. Director Thomas shared with the Council President our goals for the year and where we're going to be focusing in on. And we got some good stuff coming up, and that's advocacy. And then as it relates to the foundation, just like all of my colleagues, we're finalizing our FY24 goals. Trustee Corrigan, you probably saw the board calendar invites come out. So we have our board meeting dates set. And then we're also trying to deepen engagement for the foundation board so that they continue to be well knowledgeable about the work in the community impact of the library. So that as they're out in the community, they can continue to be strong advocates. And I think that's it. Okay.
Thank you.
And
Is there anything here?
Ashley's on the lead.
Okay.
if there's no other, that concludes the Community Services Committee report.
At this time, there is no old business or new business. We do have, first of all, I'll get to you, Steve. Give me a minute. I haven't forgotten you. Thank you. We did have a couple public comments that were submitted to us online. One is by Tracy Hafla. I don't know how to pronounce her name, so I apologize. And Laura McShane. And the other one is by Zach Schiller of Policy Matters Ohio. All of their comments that were issued online will be submitted and included in our minutes of today. So if you would like to review them, you could go ahead and see them there. Steve, who has joined us personally today, I will give him 2 minutes. How are you, Steve?
He's singing there. And as you know, I'm usually I'm a nostalgic library patron. I'm a nostalgic library patron. And well, once again, I'm glad you still have those hand sanitizer pumps. That's a real convenient way to wash your hands. So try to keep those hand sanitizer pumps in. And I've talked about the accelerator dryer. It's going to keep that trend towards single occupant restrooms. If you have a single occupant restroom, then the privacy of the dryer stays there. And I also know that from area businesses, the accelerator dryer is not as prevalent as it used to be. And they're trying different things out besides the accelerator. And also, when it comes to downtown Lewis Stokes wing, you still have a public phone on the first floor. Try to keep a public phone in the downtown library. It's always good to have that for if you need to use it. And because I said I'm a nostalgic library patron. I'm into all kinds of historical stuff. I watch a lot of MeTV and I watch a lot of Andy Griffith reruns and stuff like that. And Andy Taylor was no ordinary sheriff on Andy Griffith. He tried not to use guns, and Barney Fife carried an empty gun with the bullet stored in his pockets.
That's right.
So both sheriffs were very restrictive on their gun usage.
Thank you, Steve. And Steve, I don't know if you know, we are in the process of updating our restrooms downstairs as well. So, yeah, something to look forward to.
One summer, I found the book of all the scripts for every episode.
You better talk to Steve. You guys need to have a
I spent
conversation.
the entire summer reading. That's how much I love enjoying it.
Look, did you hear that, Steve? He found the scripts of all the episodes of the Andy Griffith, something that you might look at.
It's on our shelves.
Yeah.
Really good.
Probably.
Wow. Thank you, Steve, for joining us. At this time, I move to adjourn to the 2024 organizational meeting.
Second.
Ms. Butts?
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian?
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
And Mr. Clerk?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Want to call the meeting? Call the meeting order?
No, that was good.
All right, ready to go.
Yep.
And then we have to do, oh, no, go ahead.
We're gonna deal with the election of the 2024 officers. The nominating committee considered myself, Trustee Corrigan, and Trustee Melanie Shakira. And we are recommending that the current officers that we have, we are nominating them to remain. Trustee President Rodriguez, myself as the Vice President, and the current Secretary, Trustee Corrigan. And those are the nominations that we have made, and we would like to move that they be accepted.
I move nominations be closed and a vote be taken on the nominations suggested by the nominating committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Ms. Butts?
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian?
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
And Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. And then the second piece is the election of the fiscal officer and the deputy fiscal officer. Be it resolved. Come on, Carrie. and
Come on, Laura, come up front.
Come on, Carrie and Laura. Be it resolved that Carrie Kornacki be elected to serve as fiscal officer for the year 2024 organizational meeting through the year 2025 organizational meeting. And that a stipend of $500 per month be paid for the duties as fiscal officer. And be it resolved that Laura Armstrong be appointed to serve as deputy fiscal officer for the year 2024 organizational meeting through the year 2025 organizational meeting. And that a stipend of $350 per month be paid for the duties as deputy fiscal officer.
So moved.
Go ahead, Tom, say what you have to say.
We all
You
know
say it
that.
every year.
The grand tradition is, for those who understand the statutes of the state of Ohio and the Ohio Revised Code, these appointments and the reasons for their additional stipend is they are the people most at risk for going to jail for misspending library funds. And so I've always reminded them of that, and that's why we some years ago now set up the additional stipend in recognition that they probably lose a little sleep over making sure that we do everything absolutely right. And it's become something of a joke because we've had such wonderful service, both from Carrie and from Laura and that's been true of their predecessors as well. But it's good to remind people that we do take our finances very seriously. And I make this joke as a reminder of how seriously we take our finances. And I want to commend both of them, but also all the finance, payroll, and human resources staff for keeping us in the good side of all those things the law requires for a good public institution. And we can be very proud of how the Cleveland Public Library handles funds.
Thank you, Tom.
Ms. Bunt?
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian?
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
And Mr. Parker?
Yes.
At this time, we call the organizational meeting adjourned. Tom always has to say that every year. I have to give him his-
You did.
I'm just gonna allow him his few minutes of fame there. Thank you.
Yes.
I think for that.
Okay.
Get this one here. Who seconded it?
Hmm?
Tom.
Yes.